Hello, Podfam, and hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm doing okay now that we figured out our technical difficulties.
Oh my gosh.
Like we
Zencaster, if you're listening, you are in the bad books, and we have swapped over to Zoom.
we
So
have
yeah, think about it. Think about it.
we
You're
have
gonna lose us as customers here.
yeah, we jumped onto this call at 8:35, if not a bit earlier, and it's now almost 9 o'clock.
Yep.
So yeah, you kept disappearing from the call, but I could still hear you. I wasn't having a good time.
No, anyway, we are both here now, and
Mhm.
we both have a cup of tea. Rachel, what are
Yes.
you drinking tonight?
I actually shook it up because I've been trying to find other herbal teas in my house, and it's
Yes.
my immune. It's not the immunity booster that you get me, but my immune tea, which is echinacea and lemon. I'm not,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, I'm not sick, but sometimes you can never go wrong with a little immunity boost.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I was honestly waiting for you to say chamomile or peppermint, so I'm glad you mixed it up. This is good.
I just wanted to keep you on your toes. I can't
Perfect.
have you expecting my next move all the
No,
time, all
no,
the
gotta
time.
keep me like in suspense over here with what kind of tea you're drinking. I live for it.
Hmm.
So tonight I went tea shopping last week. Got a couple
Oh,
new flavors to add to the pantry, and I am drinking Farmer's Market.
oh,
This one is I actually really love it. I'm really happy I went with this tea. It's a herbal tea, and it is spearmint with pieces of strawberry in it.
wow. That's
Yes, it
very
smells
interesting.
amazing. It tastes amazing. Highly recommend if you find a strawberry mint tea. It's
Hmm,
good.
interesting. Cool. Well, shall we crack into it?
Yes. So in today's episode, we're going to be touching base on our journeys with natural health. Now, we have talked about this at length in previous episodes, and a lot of you were kind of facing similar issues to us. And we're also curious about the more natural route when it comes to your health, especially
Hmm.
with preventative care. So we just wanted to bring an update to what's been going on with us. We hope that it's kind of helpful for you and maybe it encourages you to, reach out to that natural path or try some new techniques that might just bring you a little bit more wellness.
Exactly. I have like one really big update and then one that's kind of small. How many do you have?
I'm in the same boat here. I kind of have one big update and then
Okay.
maybe an offshoot of that one.
Hmm.
But yeah, Rachel, you've kind of wanted to lead off with the update here. So what have you got?
Yeah, so I actually had a check-in meeting with my naturopath on Monday of the week that we are recording. And it just like we've kind of talked about it before with naturopath stuff that in the past I haven't really kept up with the supplements that they gave me. And then I was always like, oh, I don't think this works. But really, I would take the supplements for about a week and then I would forget to do it.
Yes, and
But
that is the one thing about supplements. When you're going the natural route, things do take longer. Like it's common for things to take up to 18 months
mhm,
to really get a lasting change.
mhm,
Sorry, I just want to interject there. Just if someone was just like, oh, I get the same thing about supplements, it feels like they're never working. But the thing is, you have to be consistent,
mhm.
and it's good to be under like a professional guide for taking supplements, and then also sticking with them for a long time.
Exactly. I mean, for instance, the supplement that I'm on, or one of them, is supposed to start working after about 3 months. And I just seem to take longer for things to kick in. And it's been about 8. So, you got to just have the patience. But I'll just kind of give a brief summary of what the issue was that I was dealing with, just in case we have new listeners that didn't listen to our original episodes about this. But around like 2021, like in the summer, I started to have this like mid cycle spotting, which can be normal. I'm not saying it's not normal, but what the kicker was, it wasn't normal to me. So I pretty much had a clockwork cycle for my entire life. never had any issues in between. So when it started happening, I was like, oh, like something's wrong. And I went through the gynecologist appointments, all of that, just to keep kind of getting hit with the same rhetoric of like, oh, like it's normal, pretty much. Like it's a deviation from normal. So everything is fine. Like, you did a pap test, it's normal result, you should be fine. So they didn't really do anything to help me. Actually, one gynecologist I met with actually told me to take estrogen, which is the opposite of what you should do in that situation. So I was just like, you know what? I don't think that they are going to help me. So I decided to try the naturopath route again. And I went back to a long-term naturopath of mine that I've had, who she really focuses on female hormones. I think like she's really about like reproductive health. So I knew that she would really know her stuff. And I went in and she prescribed me something called Progest Matrix, which is an herbal supplement that is supposed to actually amplify the amount of progesterone that you produce, which is supposed to, lengthen your cycle and kind of reduce, like, because kind of the issue I was having was that the drop in my hormones at ovulation time was so significant that it would like trigger bleeding. So this was supposed to act as a way to counteract that drop and make it a bit less large. And then she also gave me, I don't know if you've been on this too before, but she gave me ashwagandha to help with my stress levels. So I took those two things and she gave me magnesium to help with my headaches. And for about 2 months there, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is working, but I stuck it out. And pretty much like within the last 2 months, my cycle has lengthened again, where for a while there it was 22 days, which was wild for me, where now it's back up to 28. And, there is still like a little bit of mid-cycle spotting, but like not much. Like it's bearable. And when I was meeting with her, she was just like, I think you just stay the course and keep going because it seems like we're going in the right direction. And it was just like kind of having that touch base where I could talk about, um, because like she had recorded all the symptoms I was experiencing at our first visit. And then she would bring those up when she would ask me how I'm feeling about those things now. And I'm like, oh, I actually have made some pretty good leaps and bounds. And another thing that I found that's been helping too is actually my not having coffee thing, because ashwagandha is supposed to reduce your stress, but then I was having like basically a cup of stress 3 times a day for a while there. So once I actually stopped doing it, which was about 2 months ago, that's when I've really seen the good results. So I think I'm going in the right direction, and it feels really, really good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know you've been feeling a lot better when it comes to your hormonal health. So that is a huge step forward. And sorry, Rachel, so you've been on the protocol now for 8 months, but when did it all start when you were with the naturopath?
Um,
Like from the time where she was just like, oh, I want you to do this and this and this, till like when you got really serious with it.
um, like I mean, I've kind of been in and out with the naturopath for a while. Like I started to actually see her for another reason when I was a teenager. And that was for like severe burnout. But pretty much, then I stopped seeing her for a while because I was living out of the area. And with this issue in particular, honestly, like I showed up and I said what the problem was, and she knew what to do right away.
That's good. Yeah, and it's important to work with a professional who you trust, because I know I
Mm-hmm.
have worked with a few different people, and pretty quickly you're like, you know what? I don't think we're a good fit. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you want to be upfront and honest, right? Like maybe it feels like you're ripping a band-aid off, saying that, you know what, we're not going to work out together.
Mm-hmm.
But these are usually not procedures or methods that are covered
Mm-hmm.
by insurance, or if you live in Canada, by healthcare. So you want to be getting your money's worth and making sure you're working with someone who is going to create a plan that works for your life. And
Mm-hmm.
they're actively listening to you, especially a huge issue with women in healthcare is like the phantom pain and
Hmm.
the phantom period pain, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It can be very difficult for women to be taken seriously when they
Hmm.
say that they have an issue. So that is where you definitely want to be aware of your medical team
Hmm.
and make sure that they are taking you seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to say something along those lines where it's really important to find somebody who actually listens to what you're going through. And, like I had a situation where going to my appointment with the gynecologist, they kept asking me to repeat what I had just said. Like they weren't really following the story of what I was going through. And I could just tell they weren't really listening. And that made me feel very like, oh, like this isn't that important to you.
Hmm.
And I think another really great benefit about this natural health method that I went through, especially working with like a woman who's very passionate about this line of work, like I never felt like she was minimizing the situation. Because I feel like, at least with our healthcare system, like if it's not deemed as, like a very serious issue, like, what I was going through is a deviation of normal for women. So they were like, oh, it's not actually that bad. So I could tell like they weren't really taking it seriously. Where with her, she was just like, oh, like I understand that this is a deviation of normal, but it's not your normal. And I can see that it's causing you distress. So what can we do to minimize your distress about it? And it
Hmm.
just made me feel like, okay, I am prepared to do what you ask me to do. Where kind of in the doctor's appointments that I had, like I could tell that they weren't really listening, and I was like, I don't think that these are the right recommendations and I don't feel comfortable with it. And I think it really did come down to feeling like I was heard,
Hmm.
and not having my case minimized is not that bad.
Yeah, it kind of felt like you were being put through the system a
Mm-hmm.
bit. And it's just like, well, I know one thing that you were constantly being told was like, we'll just give it a little bit longer, it'll fix itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, but
But
like this
like,
has never
yeah.
happened before. So obviously, like it's not like you said, it's not my normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think even if you're going to go like, and not even just the natural route, but if you're looking for a specific solution to an
Mm-hmm.
issue, do your research and go with the professionals who specialize in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know with your naturopath, like her specialty is hormonal health.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's very important because even with doctors, you have your GPs who are just kind of your general practitioner. So they kind of do a little bit of everything, right? But if you have a serious issue, like you need to find the specialist within that realm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the great thing too about working with a specialist in this area, at least in the naturopathic realm, is that, she really emphasized the importance of what I'm ingesting, like my diet in this case, because I kind of learned about this on Organic Olivia's podcast as well, where like eating enough beans is actually really important, because just the nature of how it works, it can help kind of flush excess estrogen out of the system. And when I went in, I kind of, to my first appointment, like I was really guarded, and I was just like, like I think I have an issue with excess estrogen, like, but I've been doing this, this, and this. And she's like, yeah, the beans are great. You actually need more beans than what you're currently eating. And, you don't have to do that forever, but, there are ways that through food you can also support your body's healing. So I like how with the naturopath, like it pairs the supplemental, herbal supplements, but it's like, okay, but you also need to do the correct practices with your eating that will promote happy hormones, such as eating more beans and also drinking less caffeine if caffeine really affects your system, which it did for me.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And I love that you brought up the beans because we made burrito bowls tonight and I put black beans in them. And as I'm like
Mm-hmm.
spooning out the portion of black beans, I was thinking about that episode with Organic Olivia and the lady who really likes beans.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, we gotta get our beans in. Like,
You're like, I'm promoting healthy estrogen levels.
exactly.
So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been going through. Like, I mean, it's been about a year and a half, just over a year and a half, that I've been dealing with this issue. And for about a year, if not a little bit more, I just had no idea what to do. And it was really disheartening because like, I think this is the thing with women's health, especially with women's hormones, is it's like, oh, just give it a bit longer and it will, deal with itself. But sometimes that's a really long time, if ever. And when your body is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, it affects every aspect of your life. Because if you're just like walking along, enjoying your day, and then you're, you know, enjoying your time, but you're not on your period, and then suddenly you start spotting, which can sometimes be a lot crazier than what they make it sound like. It completely, like, you don't want to be with your partner. Like, there's a lot of things that you otherwise would do that is completely derailed. And I don't think the importance of like your life experience is looked at very much when you go in with issues like this. And it's nice to be seen, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And, the body is very smart and it's very good at regenerating and healing itself. But the thing is, if there has been damage or there's been a change in the environment or anything that is causing these issues, sometimes you do actually need to give your body a blueprint
Mm-hmm.
to understand and train itself to be like, okay, this is the appropriate amount of estrogen I should be producing and testosterone and all the other hormones, right? So it gets your body back in balance. And yes, it does take time, but when you're under the guidance of a professional and potentially supplements or medication, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
help you reach that faster. And then your body is going to heal and learn, being like, oh, okay, this is what I should be doing. And
Yeah,
that's the goal. That's how you get back on track.
exactly. So can you speak a bit more to that whole blueprint concept? Because I know that's been a big part of what you've been going through as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. Yes. So, my update would be pretty much on, I guess, my skin. I was suffering from hormonal acne for a very long time after, I won't go in the whole detail of the story, but I had very clear skin growing up. But then once I hit my early mid 20s, I did start suffering from hormonal imbalances, and that came out as acne.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I, did many things, but where we left off with the last update is I had started working with a naturopath, and I will share his office because he does work with internationals, and that
Mm-hmm.
is Dr. Hayden Keys, who is down in Australia. And this, again, going back to someone who specializes, his whole thing is acne and
Mm-hmm.
hormonal health. Like that is pretty much all he does. He can do other things, but he has kind of made it his business to help women, men, anyone from acne because it's such a unique issue
Mm-hmm.
that so many things they try to put like a blanket cure, and I'm using quotation marks there, and they try to just treat the acne but not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And acne is a symptom. It's not its own thing. It's usually the result of something that is going on in your body or in your environment. So in my case, it was hormonal imbalance. And Rachel, I was kind of similar to you, where I would get the buildup of, in my case, testosterone. So
Mm-hmm.
my body produced the correct amounts of hormones, but it just
Mm-hmm.
was not able to metabolize and process them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that buildup was what was coming out in my skin.
Mm-hmm.
So with my protocol, I've been seeing my naturopath for almost a year now. At the time of this recording, it will be pretty much a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've noticed like huge differences, especially if you saw
It
like where
looks
I started.
great.
It's like night and day. It really is night and day. And it's a long process, but like I'm happy with the direction it's going because it's finally something that's working
Mm-hmm.
and it's not extreme. So I am on a supplement protocol.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor told me it would be about 18 months
Mm-hmm.
before like things really had lasting effect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not so to say like I'd never be on supplements. His philosophy is not to keep you on supplements for your life, but it is checking in and adjusting the protocol to what your
Mm-hmm.
body needs. So I am still on the same supplements as when I started, and I probably will be for another year, probably
Mm-hmm.
almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get to that checkpoint, we'll check in again with my hormones and being like, okay, like your body's now producing this one, we can eliminate that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can go through like what I am taking. Now, keep in mind, listeners, this is totally unique to me.
Mm-hmm.
I did a blood test, I did a saliva test. So all of these things, like, don't run out and buy them. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it works for me, not for potentially you, because I think, as I've said on this podcast before, my sister also sees the same naturopath, and we have completely opposite problems, and we are on
Mm-hmm.
opposite supplements. Okay, so first one is pretty basic. It is just a multivitamin and mineral complex. Next, I have N-acetyl ceatine. Probably not saying any of
Okay.
these right, so I apologize. This is the one that helps me synthesize and keeps my cycle regular. Like it's guiding my body to say, like, produce this hormone now. Okay, do this one
Mm-hmm.
now. So it's kind of keeping things very level for me. Kind of like you,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel. Like my issue was around ovulation and right before my period, those huge hormone fluxes
Mm-hmm.
my body couldn't handle, and it came out as inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I'm on is TestoClear. So this one is the one that helps metabolize hormones that
Mm-hmm.
get caught in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am on an HPA Select, which is actually just a stress balancing one. And that's just everyone probably should be on a stress balancing or
Mm-hmm.
like mineral with our society today. Like it's just, I think we all need it. And then my recent thing, I had been dabbling out of the coffee world, and for the
Mm-hmm.
past 3 weeks now, I have been more or less caffeine free.
Look at us.
Look at us go! Oh my god!
Caffeine-free queens, even though I do drink English breakfast, but it's fine. It's lower levels.
Yeah, well, and I find it doesn't like hit you like a brick wall.
No, no.
Yeah,
Like it
but
just
if
feels like a nice little like lead into the day. It's not like, oh, now I'm gonna shake because I'm so
yes,
jittery.
yes. Although if you are drinking black tea or green tea, and you find yourself very sensitive to caffeine, make sure you are eating at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, because I find that if I have like black tea on an empty stomach, it's way too harsh still, and I will still
Mm-hmm.
get like the shakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that you just want to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in terms of the naturopath journey, that's where I'm at right now. I usually check in every quarter,
Mm-hmm.
do a Zoom call. I talk about like, this is what happened this month. Here's my stress levels. And if anything is happening that I don't like, or any improvements that are happening that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been the naturopath side. And I wanted to kind of talk about a secondary thing that is also helping, because I'm not really getting active breakouts anymore, thank
Mm-hmm.
God. Um, but of course, there is the residual effect of
Mm-hmm.
dealing with acne, and that is the redness and uneven skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been working with a different team on that. There is a uh, laser clinic that is in my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a registered nurse and dermatologist and everything. But her specialty is like skin rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was actually quite a game changer for me. So it started end of August, early September, and that was doing laser genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And laser genesis is a non invasive procedure that uses a laser to gently heat the skin. And
Mm-hmm.
the result is a production of new skin cells and collagen.
Mm-hmm.
I found that this kind of gave my supplements a real boost because
Mm-hmm.
I was treating the inside, but the problem was my skin on the outside was so damaged. Like my skin barrier was very weak and it really couldn't tolerate anything harsh. So
Mm-hmm.
this really stimulated new skin growth for me and it just made my skin so much stronger. And it really helped with like the redness. And then I found that I stopped getting cystic acne at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And even if I got a little whitehead or a blemish after getting the laser genesis, it healed so quickly. It was kind of crazy. It'd be like next day it was healed.
That's great.
So yeah, yeah. So that was a fantastic thing. That was something that I did 6 sessions for, and I believe with tax it cost me about $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an investment, but I think when it comes to your health and your skin, especially,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like one who will spend the money.
Yeah.
Like I'll purposely set aside that money, and I'm being like, no, this is important.
Yeah. And
You,
I
you have to
think,
look after your health. That's a huge thing.
yeah. And I think too, like we've talked about this before, where, you with your skin and me with the spotting stuff, like you eventually get to a certain point where you will pay anything
Yes,
to
you will
have that
believe
situation
anything.
improve.
Yeah, you will pay anything. You will believe anything. I've been there, and I know you have too.
Yeah, so like before we keep going with this, I just need to reference the fact that when you first brought up the laser stuff to me, I seriously thought you were talking about laser hair removal. So when I said I was interested in it, and then you started giving me some kind of like a little bit intimidating sounding procedures, I was just like, wait, is this not laser hair removal? And you were like, no, you can use laser for other things.
I forgot about that. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. You're like, yeah, yeah, laser hair. It's great.
I know. Well, I
And
was
I'm
like,
just like talking about something completely different. So no, this is a different laser from laser hair removal.
mhm. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'll do laser too. And you're just like,
I'm
are you
like,
sure
why?
are you sure your face needs that?
Right.
So, but I did want to say too, like, I feel like you had a similar experience that I did, with the gynecologist. No, yours was not with a gynecologist, it was with a dermatologist, but a similar situation to mine where like you were prescribed something, which actually in your skin journey, I think you were just going on to that, like you were a little bit unsure about and such. And it wound up not being the right thing for you. And I think that just like emphasizes like trusting your gut with certain things.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the tretinoin. Tretinoin has worked for many people. For me, it damaged my skin, and this is why
Mm-hmm.
I had a shit skin barrier, and my skin couldn't tolerate anything for a really long time. So I kind of think I would be already that much further ahead had that not happened. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever, things happen. You just have to kind of find what works for you and move on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this laser genesis was a fantastic. And what's really great about this one, so I was looking at doing the micro needling or types of lasers. I could just sit here all night and list them off. And
Mm-hmm.
some of them are more invasive than others. This one is kind of referred to as the lunch break procedure because it literally takes 30 minutes. There's no downtime. And um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're wondering about the pain that comes with this one, because some lasers, they do feel like a hot rubber band snapping you.
Mm-hmm.
This one did not. It honestly, you just kind of felt your skin warming up. And
Mm-hmm.
like if they stay in one spot too long, it did get a little bit hot, but it kind of felt like you were on the brink of getting a sunburn.
Okay.
Yes. And then when I would leave my appointment, I looked like I had just kind of been out in the sun, but even that didn't last very long because there were many times where I went at lunchtime and went back to work, and I don't think anyone noticed.
Yeah.
Like by the time I drove back to the office, um, my skin was totally like clear and it just like leaves you very glowy.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved that procedure. I think that is something in like years going forward. I would probably do it a couple times a year just
Hmm.
to kind of keep up with that nice glow. And it tightens, it helps your pores look smaller, and it just kind of helps your skin stay healthy.
Hmm.
So that was a procedure I really loved. What I am planning on doing next, but I was not quite ready for it this winter. One, it's an investment, so I want to be
Hmm.
upfront about that. And number two, you have to do it during a certain time of year, and your skin has to be a certain point. And that is the micro needling with the, oh gosh, hopefully I don't mess up the name. It's like with the radio frequency and CO2 laser.
That
So
sounds scary.
it does. This one can be a little bit more invasive. It just depends on how deep they go.
Hmm.
Um, but this is more for like the restructuring of your skin. So if you have scars that are a little bit deeper, then this is the procedure that's going to go a little bit further and help your skin actually like regenerate,
Hmm.
not just with the redness, but if you have unevenness. Um, the only thing about this one, you like, I mean, with the laser genesis, you wear sunscreen and you shouldn't go out in the sun right after. But
Hmm.
with this one, you do have a little bit more downtime and you have to be extremely careful in the sun.
Hmm.
So they will only do it to you during the winter months.
Mm.
Yes. So this is not a procedure that you can get done during like spring, summer, or even fall. It's like the dead of winter. That's when you go get this done.
Hmm.
Just to make sure you're not going to go through this procedure and then go sit in the sun and like you're damaging what you just fixed, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. This one is more expensive. It is about $1,000 a procedure.
Oof.
Yes, and now you only need. It depends. Like some people need one. I likely need three.
Hmm.
Some people need five. So it just
Oh,
kind of depends. And it's something you do every 4 weeks. I'm not sure if I mentioned that with the laser genesis, but that was something I did every 4 weeks for 6 sessions. Um,
okay.
so that is one I am saving up for. And the thing about the stage of my skin is you want to not be having active breakouts regularly
Hmm.
because with the needles, you don't want to be um, like make the theory behind it is you're making a micro wound in your skin
Yeah.
so it regenerates. If you have acne, you don't want to be using needles into sorry, this grosses anyone out, but like there's bacteria, right? In acne.
Hmm.
So you don't want to be spreading that all over your face.
No.
So even though I'm not breaking out actively now, when I would have had to start that procedure, I was still getting the occasional breakout. So I was very nervous about spending all that money going through that downtime just to kind of like cause more acne. So that's why I will probably wait till next year when I have like another year of the supplements under my belt. My skin has had another year just to breathe and heal itself.
Hmm.
Um, and then that is something I am going to look for, just because I have a few spots that have a few indents. And I mean, if I can get rid of those, yay.
Nice.
Yes.
Your skin looks great.
Thank you. It's been a
You're
long
welcome.
journey. It's really frustrating when you like grew up with super clear skin and then you just have this like literal speed bump and you're like, what happened? But
No.
it happens to so many people. So
Hmm.
if you are going through this, you are not alone. I have been through all of it. So that has been my like, not so much the treatment side, but more the going forward and rejuvenating my skin.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So I have a really small little thing
Okay.
that I can update with, and it relates back to the coffee. I think all of our listeners are going to be so sick and tired of me saying, I don't drink coffee right now.
I know they're gonna think like, God, Rachel, you're so righteous
I
with
know.
your
Okay,
caffeine-free
granted,
life.
I'm not caffeine free. I do have my chai and my English breakfast, but you know what? I think with me, it's the caffeine levels. I do okay with black
Small
tea.
amounts.
But like
Small
I
amounts that are not too
yeah,
concentrated.
like with regular coffee, like I would drink it and I would be more tired. Like it was not doing what it needs to do anymore. And
Yes.
so part another issue that I went to the naturopath with was like I was so tired all the time. Like all the time. And like I do kind of have I do experience SAD, like seasonal affective disorder, a bit in the winter. I say a bit, a lot. Um so I am prone to being a bit more tired in the winter for sure. But like you can attest to this. Like it would be mid-June and I would be falling asleep at work.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. So part of why I went to the naturopath was okay, maybe my iron levels are low. Let's go get that tested out while we're also doing the hormonal stuff. And my iron levels were apparently great, but it was B12 that was actually really bad. And so I started taking that, and she did tell me, similar to you and your supplements, it will probably be 18 months of taking it every day, just because I chose to do it like the under the tongue pill. Like you can do injections for B12, but I just didn't really want to do that. If you do the injections, it's a shorter amount of time, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. And it was kind of working, but it wasn't until I switched to decaf that I started to see a bit of an improvement in my energy slowly over time. And then when I stopped with the coffee altogether around Boxing Day. And, I have my tea, but I'm not having that mass amount of coffee, which oftentimes I would have like 3 cups a day, which was nuts thinking back to it. That it felt like the B12 actually started to really work. Where, like, in the last 2 months, like, I wake up in the morning and yeah, it's like a little bit hard to get out of bed because it's still dark out. But like, I actually go to work with energy and I don't fall asleep at 2 p.m. It's very nice. I'm
Hmm.
really enjoying it. And I think part of it is, yes, like I was low on B12, but I also think too, like starting in college, I would have 2 large Tim Hortons coffee a day when I was in university. And I was always so stressed out. And then when I was, working in the city, I was working a really stressful job and having multiple coffees that, like, I feel like I put myself into such adrenal fatigue that it wasn't until I kind of stepped away from the thing that kind of helped get my energy up so I could make it through the day, but was still causing me to be a bit more stressed out. Removing that and really just like experiencing the tiredness for a few weeks, like now I feel like I'm actually moving in the right direction where, I feel like I have natural energy, which is very nice. And it is funny when, a cup of coffee could not get your energy up, but a few months of separation, and you have a black tea and you're like bouncing off the walls if you don't eat breakfast. I'm like, oh, so this is a normal response to caffeine, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh, this is how caffeine is supposed to feel. Not
Yes,
not like just a little teeny tiny boost, but then you're like right back asleep.
pretty much. So I'm very happy. I feel like I'm getting somewhere and I feel like you're getting somewhere. And that's really great because it was a long journey for both of
Yeah,
us.
no, it definitely is a long journey. It's a lot of trial and error, unfortunately. So if you are kind of on your own journey right now, just keep trying
Mm-hmm,
and you'll find something that fits. And
mm-hmm,
something important that you said there, when you found that the B12 really started to work after you stopped drinking coffee, um, it's kind of like the maintenance side
mm-hmm,
of things, right? Because you can't keep expecting results, yet you're counteracting
mm-hmm.
everything that's happening. So that's sometimes why we're our own worst enemy, because we're making things take so much longer because
Yeah.
we're like, well, I don't want to give up coffee. I can't do that. Or like, I don't want to eat more vegetables or whatever your
Beans.
beans. Yeah, I don't like beans, so I'm not gonna eat like a cup of beans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the thing, and like you don't have to do these things. You just have to accept that, you know what, things might take a little longer, then or you might not get the results that you were looking for as fast or like as great.
Exactly. Do you have
Yes.
any other stories
I
or?
I have one final thing that I've been doing for maintenance.
Mhm.
So I loved my light therapy, my laser therapy so much that I bought myself my own, not a laser. Okay, it's not a laser. Unfortunately, I'd probably get too a little excited with that if I had one. But I bought a red light therapy,
Mhm.
and it's honestly so. Where do I start with this? The one I have, you can buy it in Canada. I think they all come from the same factory though in China. Because if you go on all the websites, they all kind of look the same.
Mhm.
But mine is an infrared, and I will put it down in the description. So if you're curious about it, you can go check out their website. And the device I have is the infrared micro. It's just this like little box with 12 lights on it. And it's a combination of red light, sorry, yeah, near infrared and red light. Um, so both kind of have a different effect. The red light is for your skin, so it's going to help regenerate and deal with redness and healing. And then the near infrared goes below the skin level and it's good for promoting healing. And it's a fantastic little device. I just like prop it next to my bed and I'll usually do about 10-20 minutes of red light on my face, and I hold it 12 inches away. Just if anyone has one and they're looking for proper instructions, that's how you
Mhm.
use it. It took me a while to figure that one out. So I have that. And then even if like I have like a bruise or a sore muscle or anything like that, I use the near infrared
Mm.
on it. And honestly, it does make things feel better and heal faster. I don't know if I ever shared this on the episodes because I think it had been too long after it happened when we started back recording again. But I ended up in the ER over Christmas um, because I fell down the stairs. And how I fell, I didn't break anything, but I did pull a lot of the tendons or stretched a lot of the tendons. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I tore one
Mhm.
um, on the top of my foot and big toe of
Mhm.
my right foot. And it has been a very long recovery getting it back to 100%. But I've been using the infrared light on it, and it actually has been helping with the healing process. So
Oh.
yes, they aren't super expensive. They're not cheap either, but if you want something that you're going to actually use, like you can use it every day, and it's encouraged to use it every day or every other day, then it's a device you definitely want to look into.
Hmm.
Honestly, I will probably end up getting like the full body one day
Mhm.
because I just love it. I love just sitting in front of the red light. You warm up and you feel happy and you feel good.
I have also tried your little device, and
Yes,
I don't know if it did what it did, if it did anything to me in that brief time, but it was very calming.
isn't it? I
It was
know.
very nice. It was very, very nice. I enjoyed my time with it. Pretty sure you had to tear it out of my hands.
I know you're like just 10 more minutes, just 10 more minutes. Um, but yeah, no, it's an awesome little device, and it's one of those things you're like, does it really work? But when you have one and you use it consistently, you're like, yes, it does. It actually does work. Like I've used it on stomach aches, headaches, my poor foot, and I also, if I have a breakout, I will put it like I'll shine the light on it and like it's healed the next day. So it is actually a very powerful device, and there is a lot of research backing up the health benefits. So this isn't like a gimmicky thing. It is one that actually works, and it's very similar to my laser genesis, but it like obviously a less powerful version of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is where I'm at with my health journey right now. I hope you guys enjoyed that and can relate to it.
Yeah, hopefully you guys weren't just like, what are these bitches talking about? I gotta go back and listen to other things.
Right. But yes, so definitely go check out those episodes. There's definitely one or two on our natural health journey. And
Hmm.
then, of course, there's my chaotic story that came out around the springtime
Hmm.
of my journey with acne, with hormonal acne.
Yep.
It's a ride. It's a ride. Strap yourself in there. you'll be like, oh my God, she did what? um, not fun times, people, not fun times, but
She spent
um,
like $500 at Sephora on a skincare routine
and it did nothing.
and it
What?
did nothing.
I know. Yes. So that's the thing. If you have any issues or concerns, definitely go to the professionals, because chances are the topical stuff that you're going to buy from a drugstore or Sephora, it
Hmm.
ain't going to work. The supplements that you see in the pharmacy, not going to work.
Hmm.
Just go right to the professionals and they're going to give you a plan. Um, and don't be afraid to, change it up if they don't work for you. That's the most
Hmm.
important lesson out of this whole episode.
Yes. And I need to make a very important disclaimer. If any of our lovely listeners are going to go to a naturopath because they have some hormone stuff and they're thinking about that Progest matrix that I'm on, just in case your naturopath doesn't tell you, when you're on Progest matrix, your fertility increases. So if you're not into getting pregnant at the moment, use birth control or just be very cautious because, yeah, she really emphasized that with me. She's like, yeah, we can do Progest matrix in place of like an estro matrix thing, but just know you need to be extra careful. And I was like, okay, thank you.
That is an important PSA. Don't be a
Yeah,
fertile myrtle.
yeah, you better be careful. It's funny too, because literally I said, like maybe the whole thing, maybe I should just like get rid of my IUD and then we can have a clean slate. And she just goes, maybe not.
Maybe backpedal on that decision.
She was like, let's just see how it goes. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, good point.
Yeah, and that is an important thing. Like even if you're not taking like your traditional prescriptions, and you're going down the more natural supplement route, just know that some of them can interfere with other medications or
Hmm.
your fertility. There's lots of different things. So make sure you're very open with other things that you're taking or things that you want or don't want to happen. Um,
Hmm.
because you don't need to always add those kinds of things to your health journey. That might
Yeah.
get complicated. And like fun fact, if you're into drinking teas that have St. John's wort in it,
Yeah.
or a supplement that has St. John's wort in it, that also increases your fertility and can counteract your birth control. So just, play it safe, people.
Be careful. Yeah, literally she prescribed because like the other option was like an estro matrix, but which reduces your estrogen levels, but I tried that a few years back for my headaches and it made my headaches worse. So we didn't do that. And she was like, well, usually I prescribe this to people who are trying to get pregnant, but I guess it could work for you too. And I was just like, oh, okay. So
Awesome.
she was like, if you stay on it for a long time and there comes a time where you're trying to get pregnant, you can just keep going. And I was like, thank you. Good to
Thanks.
know.
I'm gonna file that one away.
Yep, gonna keep that in my brain forever. So yeah, be careful out there, guys. Make sure you ask all the pertinent questions.
Yes, because someone has to.
Yes. Yes. So, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. And if you have any crazy natural health stories, hormone stories, etc., or you just want to talk to us, you can email us at teawithlaurarachele@gmail.com. We will probably answer you before you email us with the speed that we answer. So I'm sorry if we come off a little strong.
We love emails.
We do, which
We
is
just love them.
weird, because when we're at work, we're like, oh my God, another email.
Right? We're like, stop emailing. Anything else? I'm like, yay, an email.
An email, thank you. So it's like receiving a letter.
Yes, it is. It is our generation's version of getting a letter in the mail.
Yes,
Um, yeah, tell us your crazy stories if you have any, and we'll put lots of stuff and info down in the show notes. So if you were curious about anything that we said during the episode or any of the products that or procedures that we've done, we will make sure to put that down below. And
exactly.
yeah, with that, live like tea.
Live like tea.